Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wise Woman Wednesdays. I am Jennifer Regular, a soul-centered empowerment coach at Lighting the Path, and also the host here at Wise Woman Wednesdays. And I am so excited to be introducing Jean L. Price from Grand Bend, Ontario, Canada. Welcome, Jean. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited to speak with you and your audience today.
Yeah, let me tell the audience a little bit about you. So Jean has over 40 years of experience in the fashion industry and recognizes how important your appearance is to success. For the past 15 years, using her expertise as an energetic image expert, she has been assisting DIVA women connect to their true energies using all the elements of image and vibration. She will be sharing with us how to live purposely, passionately, and playfully, living in the light. Jean, those are a few of my favorite words, and I can't wait for you to share how we can truly embody that.
Oh, well, thank you. It sounds a little ominous, doesn't it?
But yes, energy and vibration and fashion and image, and yes, how does it all
come together? Well, first off, may I tell you what a diva to me is?
Yes.
It's a delicious, intelligent, vibrant, abundant woman.
Whoa.
That's why I am the diva coach. And I saw a void for people of not the teenagers or the 20s, 30s, from the ladies that are 40 and up. I find that our styles have changed and our outlook has changed. And so that seems to be the clients that I'm attracting. And everything you put on your body has energy, it vibrates, and it's you're either attracting people or you're turning them away from you. So what I teach is based on the elements of fire, air, water, and earth. Everybody has all four of those elements, but you have a dominant and a secondary. And so together we go through a myriad of questions and mirror looking at our facial features, and your body holds the key. So once I discover what your dominant energy is, I then go forward and advise you on what colors, what hairstyles, what makeup, and then to keep in mind that you are a four-tiered person. You're a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual body, and all those four elements should work. You shouldn't be too heavy on one. They all should be equal. And not a lot of us are. So once we do the clothing and the makeup part, we then get into the spiritual part and how to care for yourself. And that is a great awakening for many of the clients, because I don't know about you, Jennifer, but when I was growing up and in my teens and young adults, I was always questioning why I had this playful side, and I didn't look at it as being corporate friendly, so I pushed it. And once I've learned more about it, I can still have that playful side, but I can also be very businesslike as well. And so when women, and it's mostly women, I have worked with some men, but mostly women, and coaches and speakers and entrepreneurs who have spent a whole pile of money on their marketing, on their business, but they forgot about themselves. So you're getting ready, to go to a seminar, well, now that we can get back out, and or even on a Zoom, and you've got everything prepared except what you're going to wear, and that is so important.
That's a really good point. We're so interested on the external that we sometimes neglect that internal piece and how we're showing up and what we're presenting to the world as well from inside us. How did this become your passion, Jean? How did you get into it?
Well, I was a designer. My husband and I had our own clothing business for 25 years in Port Credit and outside of Toronto. And I've always loved fashion. I've always loved fabrics. And so when we chose to close that business, I wanted to find something else. And this caught my eye. And I'm not the kind of person that will ever retire. So I needed something to keep me busy. And so I trained with a lady and learned a bit about it, but it's been over the 15 years that I have taken what I learned and exploded it, because what I learned, it was just about clothing. And I don't know if you're old enough, but we used to have something called colors, and you were a spring or an autumn or whatever. Well, I call it colors on steroids. As I have taken it so much further, and I didn't want to retire, and I wanted to do something. I'm really good at teaching, and this just seemed to be very synchronistic how it all pulled together, and I found the teachers and how I continued on. Now our COVID closed down a lot, so it took me a while to get used to Zoom, and I now do a few Zoom sessions, but in all honesty, I like the personal one-on-ones myself. So
Yeah, to really be able to go in depth with someone.
yes, yes.
And do you feel that people are presenting differently on Zoom than they did in person? As far as their energy and their colors. And I know there's a lot of people who kind of work from the top up, right? So I imagine that's kind of changed things a bit. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I have. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's so much more relaxed, and you need to give yourself a little bit of a wake-up call, because you're still attracting to you. And if you show up with no makeup or little or no makeup and you're grungy or your comfort clothes, if you're selling a profession and a fabulous course or yourself, and people won't take you seriously. So that's just added another step to what I teach people, is that about your appearance. And again, I said, you're either attracting people or you're forcing them away. So Zoom, people lose interest very quickly. So it's imperative that you get the best energy out there.
And how do we do that?
With knowing whether you should be wearing yellows or blacks or blues, and each energy type has a different vibration. So with me, I'm a type 1, so it's all way up here. I won't talk with my hands. I'm trying to keep them down. So I need lighter colors. If I put black on, it would be like putting a dome over my energy, and I would not be seen. And so it's very interesting when you get into all the different aspects, and so even your hairstyle. So if you're not paying attention to how you're being seen, you're leaving money on the table is what you're doing, because you can attract even more to you if you're vibrating, everything vibrating together.
Interesting. So there's like almost a multidimensionality to this. As you mentioned that there's different questions that you ask, and then you mentioned that there's this one that you are, and that we have the elements in there as well. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that all comes together? What kind of questions do you ask people? How do you bring all of that together?
We look at their faces, we look at their hands. There's questions on how you think, how you keep your environment. Here's one, for example. One's, we tend to be a little bit airy-fairy, and so once you know that, your secondary comes in and it's very strong. My secondary is a fire, so that's an action, want to get things done. So that keeps me a little more on track. But my environment, I'm very comfortable with messy. Like I have things all over the place. It drives my husband crazy. That's also what helps is it helps with relationships and with people that you're working with. Once you get comfortable with recognizing the facial features, you can, there's a different way of offering to people. So, well, I was talking about environment. So ones are very messy. Twos, they're waters, they're soft, they're flowy. They like piles. They love to keep things. They love to keep mementos. They're the ones that have probably their kids' drawings from school for the last 20 years, scrapbooks with all their little notes. But they do piles. So there's a little pile here, a little bit. Where fires, they get things out and all over, but at the end of the day, they want it all off the desk and put away. So they're all about end results. And so they move quickly to do that. With the earth, they're a very still movement and they like zero stuff around them. And they have very little, their vibration is lower. Doesn't mean that they're not as bright as the others. That's just their energy. They're the black and white thinkers. They don't use their heart at all. But they like a zero space. In their homes, they will not have a lot of pictures up. They like structure, lines. So since doing this, it's very interesting because when I was designing clothing, I would go out and I'd be looking at people's, oh, look at that collar, and oh, look at that. And my husband and I, because he was involved with me, it would be so much fun. I'd say, oh, look at that. It has points instead of rounds. We could do that. Well, now I look at people's faces, and their hands to see if I can pick up. Also, your voices are different. Ones remain very childlike. I can remember probably up until my 30s when someone would call, excuse me, they'd ask if my mummy's home, and I am the mummy. It was interesting. Yeah, even now when I hear myself on the twos, they talk almost in a whisper. You have to really listen because they don't project voice very far. 3D fires, oh, they're the edgy voice. They love to voice their opinion. Oprah and Tina Turner, there's a little guttural tone to their voices. And the earth, they are distinct in the way they speak, and they'll use terms like exactly and perfectly and precisely and not like to speak a lot. They are more observers, and they'll I love this. They'll only talk to you if they feel you're worthy. So parties, I don't have a lot of fours that come up and speak. But see, if I know that too, and when I'm presenting, if I see someone and they sit differently, they're very regal. If I'm presenting to someone like that, then I am very aware of keeping my hands down and talking precisely and not as bubbly. And someone asked me one time, they said, well, isn't that taking away from you? And I said, no, it's me respecting who they are. And so, and thus with your relationships, when you're selling things, like if you're selling to a 1, you better make it fun or she'll be bored. If you're selling to a 2, you better give them. They love all details. So past, present, future, they want to know it all. They want to understand. So for some of the types, especially a type 3 who's very curt and just abrupt, they can really hurt the type 2 feelings if they're not very careful. So that's where it comes in handy. And then when you're selling to a 3, they just want end results. So say, okay, so I have this, and this is the end result. They don't care about the in between. They just get it done for me. And with a 4, again, precise. Give them precisely what you're going to do, point by point, and then they'll take it from there. And so it's very interesting. It really is.
It really is. Can you just recap for us? Because you mentioned the air, water, earth, and fire, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's type 1?
Air.
Air. And type 2?
Water.
Water. And type 3?
Fire.
Fire. And then 4 would be earth.
Correct.
Okay, so I invite the audience, if you resonated with anything that Jean said there in a particular category, comment below. Are you a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4? Are you air, earth, water, or fire? And of course, they're all dynamic energy within us, but there's one that's more dominant, right? And that shows up in everything, right? So not just if you're a businesswoman, but in your career, in careers, relationships, that shows up because it's the essence of who you are, it sounds like.
It does, and it never changes. People say, well, my face changes. Yes, but it's your natural energy. It's your natural, and it doesn't change. You will, like, I know that the clothing I like is different, but it's still the tints. It's still the colors that I learned, and maybe it's not as fitted, maybe, but I don't work well in flowy things. It just, I need a more structured garment on me. Where 2s, it's all about softness and comfort. 3s, they like it fitted, and they're very good with wools and corduroys and velvets. It's a challenge for a type 3 to dress in the summer because they love a little more substance in their clothing. And so if the t-shirts are too light, they in structure, it makes them uncomfortable. Where a 4, again, black and white, so they do the bold colors, and it's again, and when I'm working with the people, what I have discovered is that I do it in 2 parts, and you have the first part where we discover together the questioning and find out what you are. And then in the afternoon or in the second day, I come with all the things that pertain just to your type. So you learn about your clothing, your hairstyles, your makeup, and how to care for yourself. Like 1s, if they want to relax, they play. They want something that where 2s, they love comfort. So even relaxing in a tub or with a cozy, comfy dressing gown, 2s often have a challenge in that they spend more time worrying about others' comfort than their own. So I find it imperative to get down to the bottom of it and say, okay, so what are you doing for yourself? And sometimes I go, oh, I'm not. And so that means you're lacking in one thing there. You don't have all 4 going together for you. 3s, they want to do an activity, play ball. A lot of 3s are into the sports and something that keeps them going, skiing, very competitive. And the 4s, they like a quiet time. And what I ask them to be on guard with, because they are people who want things perfect, and they are their worst enemies because they'll be thinking, I could have done better, I should have done better, I know better than that. And so I ask them to consider being a little softer and celebrate at each step. Like, oh yes, we accomplished this today. Isn't that wonderful? Rather than, well, I didn't get it all done, so.
Wow. So your energy and essence radiate with the colors and clothes that complement it, but then it's also about hairstyle and makeup and how you spend your time and how you take care of yourself. And you mentioned that there's spiritual aspects as well. Can you share a little bit more about that?
And that's one of the things where that's actually one of the positives that have, to me anyways, that has come out of the lockdown is that we've had more time to analyze and be quiet and go into ourselves, because everyone needs to do that, take some time for themselves and get to know yourself on a deeper level. And a lot of women are busy caring for everybody else except themselves, and that's one of the things. Now for me, I get up probably 6:37, but I am not available till 11 o'clock because I do my meditation, I do some exercise, sometimes I go for a walk, but that's taking care of me. That's putting me first. And self-love is so very, very important. And I don't know about you, but when I was brought up, it was always work hard, you're supposed to slug away, you're blah, blah, blah. And that's not necessarily the truth. Like, you can take a day rest or a week rest or whatever. You listen to your body, because it's really telling you, you know, on an inner level what you need, but it doesn't always happen. It's a little more available now because we're not out as much as we were, so that is a plus. But connecting with your soul and your spirit, and it is the plus.
The connection and the love and taking the time for yourself. I remember years ago, the word relax would actually make me cringe. Like, I actually had a physical reaction when I heard the word relax. And now I embrace it. I embrace that time. And I find it so valuable to have that quiet time. I think downtime is essential, truly. But I remember too, in working in different jobs, that I just felt it was impossible to take a day off or an extra day off. Like, there's no way that I could do that until I had to. There was no choice anymore.
That's it. And that's what
and then I'm like, oh wow, the world didn't fall apart. And you know, things actually got taken care of and allowed me the space to then take care of myself and be so much more productive and nourishing after that. And yeah, now I embrace life and I follow what's most nourishing and productive for me. And I approach it with curiosity and courage and compassion. And like you, we just kind of evolve into that state. And I can see why I tend to work with people a little bit later in life, like over 40, so that, you know, we've kind of had some time to come to that realization. Yeah.
I hit up the side of the head a few times. Right, I'm paying attention.
Exactly. So now you talk about living passionately and living playfully, and yeah, how do we embrace that more now?
By doing things that you love. Like for myself, I've just signed up for a mixed media art class, you know, and always learning. My type, I have at least 4 books that I've started, and they're laying all over, or they're on my Kindle, and oh yes, well, I get bored with that. So so some are nonfiction, some are fiction, and that feeds your mind. Don't just be work. Don't, you know, that is the biggie. That and a lot of, not a lot, but sometimes they'll say, well, that's just what I do, I can't change. Well, you can't get any new knowledge if you've already got a full cup.
There's
so
no room.
we work with people that or I work with people that, well, so I ask them some questions and playfully, and my idea of play is not the same as everyone else's, you know. The water, the comfortable water, their play would be lounging, you know, on a swing in the backyard. Or to me, Stratford, Ontario is a perfect type 2 energy. Like, they've got swans and like willow trees, and it just feels like that to me. But and fires, what they play at is winning.
Because they have that fire.
They're so competitive. And if you go to a party, well, the are ones that are telling you, well, I've done this and I've done that. I just returned for this. And some people think they're bragging, but really they're just, they've done so much. They're sharing with you, and that's how they communicate. And to some people, that's, oh, you're being an idiot. For me, I tend to be the mouthy, laughy, and the earth people, if for playful, they don't have playful, but they like quiet, and so leave them alone and let them have some quiet time, because that is their playtime. So I've seen some fours thinking that they should be out playing. That doesn't sit well for them. People, their energy's off. Like, well, I want to be a comedian. Well, there isn't a funny bone in your body. Like,
it just doesn't fit.
You say it nice. And find what makes you come alive. Like, what do you love? And that takes some time. That takes some introspection. And you may have to try 4 or 5 things before you, oh yeah, that's great. And what I love about the art is I can get my hands in there, and I got it all. I have an art shirt because I get them all over the place. So, it's interesting.
And tell us again what type you are, Jean?
I'm a 1.
A 1, which is? Air. Mm-hmm.
High energy. We're top energy. Scale to 1 to 10. We're an 8 to 10. A 2, they're medium to low, so they're probably 6 to 7. Fire, they're second high, they're probably 8, 7, 8. And earth is very little movement, and they are anywhere from a 1 to 2. So,
oh, interesting. So
this drives them crazy because they don't like movement. Personally, too, when I'm advising about jewelry and things, 4s don't like things that move, so they like studs, and if they have a bracelet, it has to grasp their wrist. They couldn't stand it going up and down because that's too much movement. It can't make noise either. Where 1's the
can't
more
make noise.
wobbly, glittery, and it's fun. Again, more softness, longer. 2's great with silver. 1's gold. Fires, which is the 3, more bronzy, and 4 with the earth. It's more of a bright, a bright silver. Where in the 2, they can do antique silver that has softened the silver effect. So it's even different colors of metals that work for you.
Oh, interesting. So the high energy folks going to be like air and fire, and that's quite a dynamic energy, I would imagine. And maybe is the difference then the intensity, where air is more like playful and fire is a little more intense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And everyone's like a snowflake, even though we could have 5 type 1s, 5 type 3s, and you'd be unique. You have to find your own. I give you the templates of here's what will work for you. And I even assess your body type, because some people can wear their shirts tucked in, some people can't, or for the best effect anyways. And it's interesting to watch where they go with it. So like my clothing 10 years ago was more playful than it is now. I prefer to have a little more structure. But I also was caught in the COVID lockdown in that, it was so much easier to put sweatpants on.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me. I would think that airs, and because we love people, I, my networking was all cut off, so I had to find people online, and it was probably I had a lot of work to do for the first 6 months to get myself to be okay with this. So I totally can understand where people are committing suicide and just not seeing a light at the end of the tunnel because it is too overpowering for them. And I thank the Lord that I have the spiritual background. I've worked with Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is a meditation teacher, coach, and that really was instrumental in getting me back on track. Connecting with your soul, like how often have you gone inside and really sat and listened and oh yeah, and your soul is an entity. So if you're not looking after it, it's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, our soul needs our soul has needs. Yeah, and it can lead us so well when we allow it to and to be there with it. Is there a sense of purpose or a life purpose that changes with each of the elements or the colors that you notice? With each air, earth, fire, and water? Is there any commonalities in terms of how they approach their life purpose?
Each one is unique, and even each type is unique, where I know my life purpose is to be with people. That's why I know I'm good with teaching and coaching, and it brings me life. It brings me alive, and sharing my knowledge. I consider myself a crone now, so I have a lot of wisdom that needs to be shared. I've invested a lot of money in my wisdom, and so I don't want to go away with not sharing it. So yeah, that's part of my purpose. The two, they're more concerned about others' well-being than their own. So that's where their purpose, they have to sit back and say, okay, I can have this purpose for these people, but I also should have this purpose for myself. Then bring it back and look how you're incorporated in it. Threes, all about action. So how can I make you, work better, work faster, whatever. So they're very intense. Their purpose is whatever they design. They can multitask very well, much better than most of the other types, and they can compartmentalize. So, okay, I was working on this today, but in their brains, they've got a file folder for each thing. Or one's multitask, but their brain looks, we can't bring it back as easily as a three. Fours, their life purpose is really analyzing themselves and seeing how they can be better, and then they analyze whatever is happening around them and how that can be perfected, and then give it back out to the universe.
Oh, wow. Amazing. This is all so fascinating, Jean, and I'm sure there will be people who want to connect with you to learn more. So how can they get in touch with you?
All right, I have a Facebook page under the Diva Coach and Jean L. Price, a personal one. I'm on Instagram as the Diva Coach, Jean L. Price. I'm on LinkedIn, Jean L. Price, the Diva Coach. What else have I have? I have a Pinterest site under the Diva Coach, and that's where I post the different types and the different outfits. So I apologize. I don't have a website right now because I didn't like the way it looked, so I took it down. But on Pinterest, you will find some of the energies, each of the 4 types, and also the body types. And so that certainly helps you too. So send me a PM, on any of those social medias, and I'll get back to you.
Oh, fantastic. This is so good. And I'm sure there's so many interesting information and images that would be, especially on Pinterest and Instagram. So
Yeah.
follow Jean. Any final words for us, Jean, in your wisdom, in your crone
Yes.
wisdom?
I found something today I wanted to share with you, and I thought, oh my God. So here's 4 anchoring intentions.
Okay.
Joyful, energetic body, compassionate, loving heart, quiet, alert mind, and lightness of being.
Lightness of, see that again?
Being.
Lightness of being.
Being.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And that's what I've now got as my 2022 intentions. It's finding the joy in life, and we don't have to slog. We don't have to. If you don't like that job, please leave, because that creates a vacuum, and the earth or universe hates a vacuum, so it'll fill it with something. There's something else out there. And write down your visions, focus on the morning and night, and it just, you are the attractor, and don't give up. It's just, we live in a wonderful world. We really do.
Yes, we really emanate that energy when we really feel into those affirmations and intentions. And it's been such a pleasure having you here, Gina Price. I am so glad that you joined us, and to everyone, continue finding your joy. And we'll see you again next week on Wise Women Wednesdays. Bye for now.
Thank you.